Hey everybody, and welcome back to Dude's Brunch, your late night morning talk show. I'm your host, Taylor Olmsted. With me this week, like every week, it's Tyler Reed. How are you, Tyler? What'd you have for brunch today?
Wonderful. My brunch was pretty typical as always. I had the breakfast burrito from Coffee Emporium, as we all know. Repeating myself. But I just got back from having a board game dinner with friends, some new friends. And I had my first mimosa, which is criminal considering we're on almost over 80 episodes of this podcast. And I'm just now having a mimosa, a staple of brunch.
I'm not judging you. One step at a time.
I'm just proud that this day has finally come. Emily would be pleased.
Maybe I'm just evolving into a beautiful brunch butterfly. Maybe I'm emerging from my cocoon.
If you're a beautiful brunch butterfly, Sean is some kind of larvae stage brunch hater. What did you have for brunch today, Sean?
You owe me like 5 seconds of my life back for that. You know that.
Yep.
Sarah made pumpkin spice muffins this morning, so I had those with black coffee and some butter. Yeah.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Well, I'm your host, Taylor, and for brunch this morning, I had peanut butter toast and coffee because it was all I had in my new place. I know, right? I just moved yesterday, so I didn't really have any food, but I had some bread and peanut butter and some coffee, and so we made do.
For folks at home, Taylor is literally sitting in a black room with cardboard boxes completely surrounding him in camera view. So
that's not exactly true, but it's pretty close to true. Well, let's get right into it this week. We have a few items of follow-up from last week's show. First things first, an exclusive announcement this week from Sam Mobile. I don't know how reputable of a source they are, but it says that the Samsung Galaxy S8 is not going to feature a headphone jack.
Now that's courage.
Yeah. So all you Android people that were hating on Apple and saying, oh, stupid iPhone doesn't have a headphone jack, you're right here with us now. Welcome to the future, bitches.
First they came for the headphone jacks, and then they came for your headphone jacks.
And it feels like almost a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh my
isn't
God.
it?
My favorite part about this is the headline says is not going to feature a headphone jack. It's not Samsung Galaxy S8 is removing the headphone jack, but it's just headphone jacks are a feature, and it's not a feature that this phone offers.
Also, what they didn't tell you, the feature also that you can make phone calls with it. Who knows when they'll remove that feature from phones.
Wait, next you guys are going to tell me that the Note 7's feature was catching on fire in your pocket, right?
Yeah, that's a feature.
I feel bad for people that bought those and still use them. Did you guys see that they're going to like brick those?
Oh,
There's
for
going to be
real?
like a software update to brick them. Yeah.
I mean, that's a good idea because there are people who are too stubborn to return them. But, yeah, that is sad.
Is that part of spontaneous combustion? Is that like where it comes from?
It's an attempt to make them not spontaneously combust, right, Sean?
That's not the right thing. If something spontaneously combusted, it would cease to exist immediately.
I mean,
Not to mention it can only happen to living things.
this is also true.
Science!
In other follow-up, 538 shared an article this week about Hurricane Matthew indirectly, following up from when Hunter came to visit us on the show. And they talked about the Waffle House Index, which is an actual index that FEMA uses to determine the severity of storms based on how many Waffle Houses in the area are closing. Turns out, it has to be a pretty damn bad storm for Waffle House to close.
How bad of a storm was it? It was so bad.
Waffle House closed.
Waffle House.
Well, I guess the argument here is that Waffle House is one of the only things that's open 24/7 through 65 anymore. And so after the disaster, the FEMA aid workers and all the people who lost their homes and everybody, they all need somewhere to eat. And that's usually a Waffle House. But if Waffle House isn't open, then there may not be anywhere in that whole town for people to eat.
Huh, interesting. I would have said, I don't know, FEMA food trailers?
Well, also FEMA food trailers, but in the interim before they get there.
Right.
Either way, we'll put the article in the show notes. It's really interesting. It talks a lot about like how quickly Waffle Houses can get back up and running and what contingency plans they have for all of this and how they train their workers for emergency situations. It's pretty cool.
It's just funny that it's like, it feels like they're almost like, it's like the Red Cross of food. You know, it's like
I don't know who just got more insulted about that, to be honest. Like, if Waffle House is going to send us like a cease and desist letter, or if the Red Cross is going to send us a cease and desist letter.
Like, when all else fails, Waffle House will be there.
That's slander. Comparing us to them. I wanted to give a shout out to 538. Man, Nate Silver, you guys dropped the ball this time. Hilarious. On your election coverage. I don't know. So this is kind of follow up to the elections and fake news, since that is a buzzword now. When I listened to 538 after the election, their election podcast, Nate Silver was like, it was really the news media's fault for, buying into these, just giving it to Trump all the time, and the numbers were right, and some of these pollsters were pulling the right polls, and we just weren't believing them. The news media wasn't responsible. And then when you listen to the news media, they're like, pollsters were wrong, like numbers couldn't have predicted this. When you were looking at the outcomes, it just wasn't right. And part of me is like, you know what? You guys are both wrong. 538 dropped the ball, and they're going to blame media, even though that's what they want to be. And the media is going to blame pollsters, which is also what 538 wants to be. So I don't know. Get your act together, guys. That's basically what I feel saying about 538.
To be fair, though, the election did fall within 538's margin of error. They gave it
Explain to me what that means.
So all statistics have a margin of error.
Right. No, I know about polling statistics. I'm just asking you to explain it to me.
So of the various mainstream poll sites, 538 was the most conservative going into the election, and the actual outcome, the percentage that Trump won by, was within 538's margin of error prediction. And so while they did call it for Hillary, the actual result was within their margin of error. And I'm not saying that makes them good and like we should still trust them, because obviously they dropped the ball, but I think other people dropped the ball a lot harder than they did. And so I do want to give a little bit of credit there, but yeah, they still fucked up. Like
the margin of error within electoral votes, or as in popular votes?
It was the margin of error in terms of probability of Trump winning.
Oh,
because the 538 model was based on probability, not on electoral votes. It
doesn't really.
In other election follow-up, Reply All did a great episode this week about fake news and conspiracy theories on Reddit, and talked to the CEO of Reddit about how certain communities and certain political groups are using Reddit as a platform to do things that are free speech but are kind of threatening, and what the internet's role is in policing that. I would say that if that's something that you're interested in, you should go listen to that episode. We'll link to it in the show notes, but it goes pretty far down the rabbit hole, so it may not be for everybody.
Well, we should just talk about, I think we could probably do a special episode on this one, because I'd be interested in what media folks want to talk about, like yourself and Emily, because it seems like ever since last weekend when what's his name from North Carolina came up here to DC and decided that he wanted to, find out what was going on at Cosmic Ping Pong Pizza Parlor.
Well, that's what this Reply All episode is about.
Fake news seems to be this huge thing. And I just think like they had this whole Diane Rehm this week that I had the pleasure of listening to. And it was basically a bunch of media panelists talking about how fake news is the worst. And then when they're confronted with questions like, well, don't you guys make clickbait and don't you rely on advertisement support? They kind of just like fumbled the ball. Like, well, it's just, yeah. But back to the fake news, like they're ruining us. They're ruining what it means to be legitimate journalists. And it's just like, I don't know.
Themselves really, didn't they?
We need to have more discussion about this. It's like critical of who's to blame. Everybody.
We're all to blame. In other follow-up news, it's finally the holiday season, because the Dude's Brunch 2017 holiday sweater is now available. Shouts out Tyler. The sweater looks great. I'm very, very excited about it. I need to order mine actually pretty soon if I want to have it before Christmas.
Right.
So by the time this episode comes out, I think you'll basically have to order in the next couple of days. So if you want a holiday sweater, you should order it as you listen to this episode, basically. In other follow-up, Sean was on national TV this week.
No, don't give me that much credit. It wasn't published live. You had to wait it out.
But it was on TV, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's in the background of a shot on C-SPAN.
Nice.
So if you get C-SPAN, you should look for Sean. All right, so it is officially the beginning of awards season. And this week we're going to talk about the 59th annual Grammy Awards coming up in early 2017. We're just going to kind of work our way through the nominations and talk about how we feel about the Grammys in general and these nominations in particular. Big general question first. Do you guys give a shit about the Grammys?
No.
No.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe about this much. Because I feel like it definitely does give you something to kind of like reflect on and kind of like look back and pick out just like maybe stuff you somehow might have missed. I mean, there's a lot of categories. Like, for example, I didn't know there was like a bunch of different like instrumental jazz albums, that came out this year. That's a whole category.
Yeah, I feel kind of the same way as Tyler. I care about it a little bit, but honestly, the reasoning behind these awards is so like, I don't know, inside baseball, that I feel like every year when the list comes out, I can predict all of the Grammys just because of the statement that I think the Grammys are trying to make that year. And so, particularly with this list, it's like there just feel like some really obvious choices, and then there are a couple of nominations that just don't make any damn sense whatsoever.
Let's just be real, though. For the most part, for the first like 35 categories, there's really only like 20 different albums that are there.
Right.
Well, and that's how this always works. It's always the same like 10 people over and over.
Right. Versus the tens of thousands that were released that, I don't have to come off as saying like I'm hipster, but we're that much better. We're so much better.
And that's kind of how the Grammys work. Like, it's always the biggest of the big. But let's dive in. The first category is, of course, the coveted Record of the Year award. This year's nominees are Hello by Adele, Formation by Beyonce, 7 Years by Lucas Graham, Work by Rihanna featuring Drake, and Stressed Out by 21 Pilots. I feel like this is almost definitely going to Beyonce. Anybody else any thoughts on this?
No.
I mean, as much as like, I feel like if we're gonna do like Record of the Year, I feel like there's a reason like why they put 21 Pilots on there, and I feel like it probably isn't the best album of the year, but it's probably like.
So here's the thing that we should clarify: Record of the Year is the recording of a song, and then there's Song of the Year, which is about the song itself. So Record of the Year is just like the technical production of a single song. Yeah, see, that's where it kind of trips you up.
That's so fucking inside baseball. I don't fucking know. Like,
the second category is Album of the Year. This is exactly what you would expect. You're judging the whole disc. We've got 25 by Adele, Lemonade by Beyonce, Purpose by Justin Bieber, Views by Drake, and A Sailor's Guide to Earth by Sturgill Simpson. I mean, does anybody not expect Beyonce to win Album of the Year?
I didn't listen to her album.
I didn't listen to all of it either, but I feel like everybody was just so obsessed with Lemonade this year that it has to go to that.
That's a pretty good answer now, isn't it? I watched Anthony Fantano's sort of rundown on some of the stuff, and he really wanted he was really pulling for the Sturgill
Simpson.
Yeah, but he definitely thought that Beyonce was going to win. So
I haven't really listened to any of that, but my gut just tells me Beyonce. Next category is Song of the Year. That's Formation by Beyonce, Hello by Adele, I Took a Pill in Ibiza by Mike Posner, Love Yourself by Justin Bieber, and 7 Years by Lucas Graham. I want Hello to win this. I feel like Formation's going to, and I swear if I Took a Pill in Ibiza wins a Grammy, I am going to just give up on the Grammys entirely. That song is so obnoxious. Y'all really don't listen to any pop music, do you?
No.
No.
Not even when the radio turns on in your car before you plug your phone in?
No.
That's called NPR.
I don't even have that on. It's auxiliary cable, baby.
Y'all are ridiculous.
The Sound of Silence or podcast or Spotify is all. That's all there is.
So then I guess you probably don't have an opinion on Best New Artist either. Kelsey Ballerini, The Chainsmokers, Chance the Rapper, Maren Morris, Anderson .Paak.
So I just need to get on Spotify and see if I can recognize any of these people. Because I probably can't. Oh, look, there's a 59th Grammy Awards nominees list.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, okay, so I've definitely heard that Justin Bieber song. Alright, let's see if I heard Work. Oh, yeah, I've heard Work. Yeah, that's good. That's a good song. I don't know if it's gonna... I heard the 7 Years song. Oh, okay, yeah. I've been to nightclubs, so yeah, I've heard some of this. I really don't feel that attached to these songs. Like, I'd rather just talk about the rock ones, because at least I feel like I can say something about it.
Well, then let's just skip down. We'll start talking about rock stuff. All right, so let's talk about the rock Grammys for this year. We've got Joe by Alabama Shakes, Don't Hurt Yourself by Beyonce featuring Jack White, Black Star by David Bowie, Sound of Silence live on Conan by Disturbed, and Heathens by 21 Pilots, all up for Best Rock Performance. To me, I think this should probably go to Black Star, but it could go to Sound of Silence by Disturbed.
Now, is that your objective opinion?
Yeah, I think it is my objective opinion, because the Disturbed cover of Sound of Silence is really good. Like, it's very well done. I just don't like Disturbed that much. And so
at that point,
I would rather it go to Bowie.
Like, was there nothing else that was really, like, super significant that came out this year that's, like, better than a Disturbed song? Than any Disturbed song?
A Disturbed cover of a Simon and Garfunkel song?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, as we go through these, I think we're going to get to kind of what I've been noticing this week is that maybe 2016 wasn't a very good year for rock music. Because a lot of these nominations just don't feel that great to me, like they have in years past. I mean, I feel like Black Star is really the only song out of this best performance list that I was, like, truly blown away by. Because Heathens certainly doesn't do anything for me.
I mean, to be fair, if we're gonna, I mean, I feel like we have to. It's got to be either the legacy of David Bowie, or it's got to be Beyonce with Jack White. As if you could really like no, that song wasn't that good. Like how you can't really.
Yeah, you can't really say anything bad about Beyonce and Jack White.
Yeah, right. Despite how good or bad the song may be, you're like, And that's sort of like almost the problem is that it feels like the songs are just kind of there, but it's almost like it's like that popularity kind of thing. It's like, oh well, Beyonce deserves to win this because it's with Jack White. They can't beat out.
I really can't say who would win this stuff because I don't like. I'm just going through and like trying to familiarize myself with like all the artists, and I think like when I listen to each one that's nominated, I think like I can find somebody in this genre that's like two connections away that did this better.
Did they do it better in 2016 though?
Yeah.
Because I feel like
that's
lot
why,
of...
I mean, I don't, and this is going to go counterintuitive to the end of the year special. Like, I feel like there was actually some pretty good music that came out this year. I mean, it's not from like established bands that are going to make the Grammys, but that's like watching the Oscars and expecting to see like an independent film win. It's just, not that there's anything wrong with this because it seems like they're really just trying to get at that's what people listen to. I can totally get into the shoes of somebody who says like I just don't really care about the Grammys because it's a very like surface level view of what's going on. Because
that's the more interesting conversation is then why don't they nominate those lesser bands, those more unknown bands?
I don't think that's not. I don't really want to take it down that conversation. I don't want to take it down that route because I feel like it's not there. But like, I've listened to Disturbed. I've listened to David Bowie. I really like Jack White. I'm familiar. I've listened to Alabama Shakes. Not a huge fan of them. I'm not big in their folk revival sound. And I'm familiar with 21 Pilots. Like Baroness is a subpar metal band. Korn, Megadeth, ugh. Like Periphery, like. The only one that I really actually liked on here, and it wasn't like didn't step out for me, was Radiohead. Like their album was actually pretty good if you like Radiohead albums. It wasn't like amazing, but if you're used to contemporary Radiohead within like the last 10 years or so, it was pretty good. It was right up Radiohead's alley. Metallica is just terrible, so we don't even have to talk about them. And then we get to like best albums of the year, and I can see this like California. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that being a contender for best rock album of the year. It was pretty good. It was very Blink-182. Cage the Elephant, not my favorite album that they've made. It's very toned down versus their first album. What was it called? What was their first album called?
I think it was just called Cage the Elephant.
It's called Cage the Elephant, Cage the Elephant. That's probably one of the most beautifully produced albums I've ever heard in my life. Listening to it on vinyl, I actually understand that why people say like you should buy albums on vinyl because it does sound that much better. It's amazing. The lyrics are super well done. The music is super intense. Fantastic. I just wasn't connecting with Tell Me I'm Pretty. It's very like post Happy Birthday, let's tone it down for the kids. Like, seriously though, it's just, I didn't even know that Panic at the Disco even let out a new album, but it's probably okay.
It's not.
I like them. It's not? It's pretty terrible?
It's entry-level indie bullshit.
All right. And then Weezer's...
Oh, I loved the new Weezer.
I don't know.
I think just Taylor has an axe to grind over Panic at the Disco being one of his favorite initial starting bands.
Sean, you're like blowing through these, and I want to argue with you about some of these. So let's throw down here, Sean. I don't really care about best metal performance. That's not my genre. So let's just drive right on past it into best rock song. I liked Black Star, David Bowie. I think Burn the Witch is one of the better Radiohead songs we've gotten in a long time.
Right. Okay, I agree.
And I've already established that I don't like Heathens, even though it's stuck in my head all the time. We don't have to worry about Metallica, and I've never heard of Highly Suspect. So I think for Burn the Witch being Radiohead, like at the top of their game, great songwriting, interesting instrumentation, something that we haven't really heard from Radiohead before, I would be 100% on board with Radiohead winning that Grammy, even beating out David Bowie. That being said, I think David Bowie's probably going to get it just because of his legacy, like Tyler was talking about. But I think both of those are really good songs.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Panic at the Disco's new one is kind of intro indie pop crap.
Tyler, what's your feeling about best rock song? I won't judge you too hard if you say 21 Pilots.
I mean, I still have to just feel like, I feel like I'm almost thinking outside of like this, almost the song itself, and more about, like I said, kind of like more about like what they sort of represent, because that's feel like what they do everything based on feeling anyway. It's what it feels like. It's got to be between Black Star or probably 21. I mean, not for like me, but I think what's gonna win. I think David Bowie's probably. He has to, but I don't know how many categories they're just gonna let him have. Which ones? It's gonna be hard to decide which one they probably think he deserves more than others. I don't know.
See, that's something I really want to talk about. So, Sean was just listening to a little bit of the Panic at the Disco album that's up for best rock album. That doesn't sound like a rock album to me. Does anybody else feel like that?
That what?
Like, is that a pop album or is it a rock album? That new Panic at the Disco.
Oh, pop. See, okay, that's another axe I have to grind too, but that's fairly
right.
See, here's what pisses me off. Panic at the Disco, with this entry-level pop garbage, is up for the best rock album of the year, and David Bowie isn't even in the category. He's in best alternative. The fuck is that?
Bro, it's because categories don't mean anything, because every genre is a lie.
We understand that you hate genres, Sean.
No, it's not that. It's like, even if we use genres, they wouldn't be done the right way based on how this is even done.
That's true.
That's what I mean. Like, in the alternative category, who would really be in this? Maybe Iggy Pop would be the closest.
I put him in alternative.
I mean, Bon Iver is like, that album's kind of alternative, but it's more electronic than it is alternative.
And then in terms of rock music, the only one that would even be in that category in this particular one would be Blink-182.
I think you could keep I think you could keep Weezer in best rock album.
I would put Weezer in alternative.
That's true. Yeah.
And the reason that I say this, we'll just go down this rabbit hole because I feel like I have to justify myself here, is that alternative rock is just totally lost. Like, it's just become pop rock. There's no distinction anymore. And we need to look back and think about alternative music as still existing as something that's alternative. You know, like, thanks to grunge, hair metal died, which was a fantastic day for humanity and really put that kind of like corporate crap into check. So, you know, like, punk kind of took away all that late 70s prog garbage. Not initially, because, you know, the Sex Pistols were a boy band. No matter how much on the day they were founded, people want to go and burn their records out in the street because they're to establishment now.
So what Sean is saying is we need a purge.
No, I don't think that. I think
what he's saying is alternative music isn't alternative to anything anymore.
No, it's not. Alternative is the mainstream.
So we need a purge. We need a new thing.
No. It still exists out there. It's not called alternative. It's not labeled as alternative anymore.
But I think there are people working in that space that just don't get put in that group. Because I think of somebody like James Blake, who's kind of R&B, kind of dance music, kind of soul music. That feels like an alternative. Like, it's something totally different than what you would hear on the radio. But he's not up for any Grammys this year, and he wouldn't be in the alternative category. They'd probably put him in, like, dance or something. But I agree with you, Sean. I think alternative as a label is totally fucked. And looking at this list of nominees totally says that. Like, who would have thought that Iggy Pop would be in the alternative category while Blink-182 was in the rock category?
I don't want to crap on the merits of any of these albums either. Like, they're bad. Besides, Metallica, because I just don't like them. Like, deep in my core, I just don't like them. So, but the thing is too, this is like an Academy Award of music. So the 13,000 people that are able to vote on this, they actually listen to this stuff and they know what they're talking about. I would rather talk about my own, like, Sean makes his best, like, alternative, best rock album, like, best song. Let's just let performance go, because it's difficult to tell, but, like, no, I think that category would actually reflect musicians.
We're getting to come to Spotify's year in review, aren't we? Oh god. I can't believe it's been an entire year. Fuck. I haven't listened to anything. I've just been listening to the same podcast every week.
That's real.
What's wrong with me? I've just been listening to Vocaloid music for an entire year. Oh, God, I'm so anime. It's just kind of that thing that just kind of happens. It's like, it's every year. You know it's coming. You're kind of like hoping that one band, you know, there's got to be like one song that really just like, that just really connects with you, that you're like really into. And you're like, I hope it's gets a Grammy, maybe even a little bit. You know, like last year, Ghost won the Metal Award. I was like, great, I love that album. It was a really good album. Everyone was super excited. It wasn't expected. And so, like, that's like kind of like the one moment that you're like, awesome. You don't have to care. I feel like you don't have to care about all of them, but it's like there's got to be like like this one song or like this one album, you know, I feel like it's not about maybe the whole thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's true because like I was really stoked the year that Arcade Fire won Album of the Year for the Suburbs, and I like went to class the next day and everybody was like, "Who's Arcade Fire?" And that was when I realized like part of the Grammys is giving a shit about the people you like and nobody else really knowing or caring about anything else. Like there's a Grammy for Best Album Packaging, which is one of my favorite Grammys every year, but most people don't even know it exists.
That's actually a quality thing.
So what's everybody's favorite Grammy category? It can be like your serious favorite or like your favorite weird obscure one.
What the fuck? Best arrangement, instrumental, or a cappella? Linus and Lucy. Apparently there was a new version of that being released. Let's find out.
Yeah, for the Peanuts movie.
Nice.
I think my favorite Grammy category is one that's, I think, going to become more popular after this year. Best music film. So this is like long form music videos and documentaries. I've always loved music documentaries, and there were a lot of really good ones that came out this year. And looking at the nominee list, I'm pretty happy with it. I know Beyonce is going to win it, but I just think it's a fun category. Oh, hell yeah, she's going to win that. 110%.
Every jazz section, because I don't think I would ever find a single jazz album in the wild otherwise.
That's a good point. Yeah. It's hard to find good jazz without the Jazz Grammys.
Also, anything like electronic, like dance-wise, because I'm also like, there's so many.
Sean, what's your favorite category?
Oh man, I kind of love this like music film category. It's pretty sweet.
So if you could give out a new Grammy category, what would you want to give a Grammy in?
I think it would have to be something within like kind of like the idea that I was kind of like putting out there basically throughout this entire discussion, when, you know, it's maybe sort of like most significant like or like best like subculture album. So, something that really like feels like it creates like sort of like has like a sort of like impact on like it might be like proto-punk albums would be like an example of like maybe like a good one. Like 21 Pilots created like this whole like, you know, they're a very big like movement that like people are like really excited about them. You know, they, you know, say what you will about them, but they've kind of changed the game.
So it's more about like the presentation and the fan base than the music itself.
Sure. And you know, because maybe like what is 21 Pilots? It's a visual, it's like and it's music, so it's like it's their live performances, it's their music videos, it's like, I don't know, like I don't want to be like best brand, but that, you know, maybe something like within that wheelhouse. I don't know how exactly to form that, but that's generally what I'd be interested in seeing, if that would have enough to meet every year.
I would want to give out a Grammy in best tour or stage set design.
That'd be cool.
I think we're seeing a lot of really impressive like tour designs and light shows and stuff right now, and there's not a lot of recognition for the good ones. Granted, U2 would probably win it like every 3 years when they go on tour, but you know, whatever, that's fine.
I have two. I'd love to see best cover.
Nice.
And you have to do it in your own style. None of this they already have remix, so that's pretty much gone. Like you have to do like your own cover, because I think that is a difficult task to do, because you can't just like do an impression. Like you actually have to maintain it in your own way and like still like capture that song. That takes a lot. Takes a lot of work, a lot of artists. My other one would be best album 3 years ago, where it would be like this year's nominees would be albums that came out, what would it be, 2013, that are still relevant today, that have like some immediate longevity. That sounds like really paradoxical.
But no, that is really interesting, because a lot of times the albums that get nominated for these big like album Grammys and stuff aren't the ones that we remember 10 years later.
Right. I think I'd like to see like 3 or 5 years, because it takes me a while to find music. Like, it surprises me how much I'll find stuff that's like a couple years old, and I thought I was pretty up to date on this artist, So it's like, wow, this is really good. It sucks that I didn't listen to this when they were on tour.
Right.
You know? So I think that there's something that's like stinks about this is that it doesn't really give you, if you're not like, I mean, Taylor, I have a lot of admiration for your like dedication to being in the contemporary with pop music. I don't share that, which is why I admire it. But I think like for me, it would be meaningful personally to see somebody that was like, wow, you know what? This album was great, and it really took me like a year or two to digest it, like for it to get out there. People were like, dang. That was a good album.
Well, the good news is we get to pick all of our favorites and hate on all the stuff we hate next week in our year-end special. Because really, who cares about the Grammys? It's all about what we think.
2 dudes that listen to other things, and Taylor, who listens to the things.
So in lieu of one piece of internet garbage this week, Sean has given us 3 pieces of internet garbage this week. Is there a connection between these 3 things, Sean?
Oh, no, but it's part of a new segment called Who, Where, What, When, and Why, the 5 W's of internet garbage. So the first piece of internet garbage is a gif of a man lighting a firecracker on fire and throwing it in a toilet. Don't spoil it until we talk about it. The second one is a beer cozy that says, I can drink at 7 a.m. because the Beastie Boys fought for this type of thing. And the last one is a meme of 2 foxes. And the top meme says, 1 drink and we go home. And at the bottom it has 2 really awfully taxidermied foxes saying 5:45 a.m. So the first one I want to know is, who the hell is throwing firecrackers in the toilets? But like, you guys watched this gif. I just lost it the first time I saw it.
Oh, I did too. And I'm sitting here watching it over and over again as we talk about it. I've probably watched it 10 times while you were doing that intro. Never not funny.
Go on YouTube and type in firecracker in the toilet. There's so many people that do this.
It's more disbelief. I'm like, oh, I guess that's what a firecracker does when you put it in a toilet. Because I'm like, I guess it just, yeah. I guess I was expecting more or less in both the extremes. I was like, oh, I guess it just kind of neatly broke off that part of that toilet.
But that's the thing about this one is I wasn't really sure what to expect when they first threw it in there. I wasn't expecting a literal whole side of a toilet just to like fall over and water just to go everywhere.
Yeah, it escalates so quickly.
That's what I mean. And go on the internet and watch this stuff, because it's like, I watched one today where it was like kids at home and they're like, oh yeah, throw the firecracker in the toilet, man, it'll be funny, these hydro crackers. And like every single time it breaks the toilet. Like, there's never a time when it doesn't break a toilet in some form, in some fashion. It's just so stupid. I can't believe it. So,
I mean, we used to do a lot of dumb shit in high school. I don't think we would have ever done anything this dumb.
I mean, there was a time we put dry ice in the girls' bathroom at scout camp.
I don't know. It wasn't firework, though.
I mean, dry ice is... We didn't know what the fuck was going to happen with that.
That stuff's super dangerous, too.
It just puts that little chemical reaction thingy. All right, so the next one is the koozie. What do you guys think about the koozie?
I love this koozie. I want one. Will you get me one for Christmas?
Yeah, why not? Let's get like 7 and send them out to all your families.
The Beastie Boys did fight for my right to do that type of thing.
They did. That's why I thought it was hilarious.
R.I.P. MCA.
Tyler, when's the appropriate time to use this koozie?
I mean...
all the time. All the time.
Is it more appropriate to do it in the
hours of 6:59 a.m. and 7:01 a.m.?
Nah, bro.
Nice. I like how specific that is. That's why I picked this question for you, because you were gonna have the perfect answer. Taylor, before we move on to the next one, where's the most appropriate place to have a koozie that says the Beastie Boys fought for this kind of thing?
Work. Sorry, I'm not Taylor.
Work.
In line outside of a Best Buy on Black Friday.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's good.
Fuck yeah.
That 7 a.m. doorbuster just pounding a Bud Light.
I thought you were going fancy. Like you were gonna do some like domestic import or something like Coors.
Nah, because if you're drinking in the Black Friday line, you're all about balling on a budget.
Miller High Life, the champagne of beers.
You need that 1,000-inch TV, and you need it at a slightly discounted rate.
That's the reason you've been drinking light beer this year, because you've been
Right.
saving up for that TV.
Right, or else your family won't love you, because, of course, those extra 200 inches, you need them.
So finally, the last meme, the one drink and we go home foxes versus the terribly taxidermied 5:45 a.m. foxes. Why? Has there ever been a time in your life that you've been in this particular situation?
I mean, not at 5:45 a.m., but I've definitely felt that feel.
Like how terribly taxidermied these, like you've actually can probably looked like this, like huddled over, jankily looking. Tyler hasn't, clearly, because he's the epitome of a teetotaler, but like
That's not true. He's just a very passive drinker. Sean, I feel like I've seen you in this state.
oh yeah, I've been in this state.
And I feel like the only time I've been in this state was with you.
Oh, that can't be true. There's times when you've come to this podcast and you're like, dude, I'm so hungover because I went out and went hard last night and I was sick or something. Like,
See, here's the thing, though. I get hungover from literally everything. I went out the other night and had pizza and 3 beers and woke up the next morning with a hangover. My body just cannot handle it. I don't understand. It has always been like this ever since I started drinking.
You had to apply some alcohol to a wound. Hammered.
It's not like I don't get drunk easily. I just get hungover super easily. It's the worst. It's like I really wish it was the other way around.
this is Taylor. Taylor has an Advil margarita mix and he's really anemic.
Apparently.
Okay, so to be fair, this has almost happened to me one time.
Almost once.
And that specific time was a lot of times, it's like 2 a.m. Like, I'm done with working at the Rook, and it's like, Catherine's asleep. Like, she's not waking up. Like, it's way past time. I might as well just hang out. And so I was hanging out with the bartender that I usually hang out with, and, he just kind of accidentally just poured too many gin tonics. I was like, fuck. Shit.
Oh my God, you are Scott Pilgrim.
Oh god. And that was it happened just recently because it was like it was fall back, and so it was actually would have been like 6 a.m. by the time I would have gotten home, but it was like 5. I was like, fuck. It's so
Yeah,
late.
this was you. You were going to work and you're like, one drink and we're going home.
Right.
And then you ended up.
I was like, it's a light mixed drink. It's fine. It's fine.
That's what they all say.
When your friends are making you drinks like that, it's never a light mixed drink.
But let's get a little bit meta here for a second. What is with this whole trend of like memes with animals doing relatable real life things?
It's like they're mammals that are like us mammals.
Taylor, that was what memes were, their origin, or at least the contemporary memes. I mean, advice animals are.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about advice animals. I'm talking about like pictures of animals that are used to depict like basic or trashy things. Like when you try to go to Chick-fil-A and you realize it's Sunday, like those type of animal memes. They're like Facebook quality memes. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. It's like, it's a meme in the loosest definition.
Exactly. That's what this feels like. This feels like the loosest possible definition of a thing you could call a meme. It emerges fresh. It's never even remotely dank.
That's right. I forgot our terminology there for a minute. I was like, oh.
But it's like, does it count as a good meme even if it emerges from this part of Facebook, that's not like, you know, the core memers, like your 4chan offshoot memes. I mean, it's not like minion category.
Oh God.
But it's like it's halfway there, you know what I mean?
Okay, I feel like I need an example. Can you like give me a Googler so I can figure out like something I can search for this?
I mean, let's just try searching like animal memes.
Oh dear God.
Yeah, so it's like a dog in front of a picture, in front of a piece of birthday cake with some candles on it, and it says, "I just wanted to eat, but you lit my food on fire." That's what I'm talking about.
It's relatable because I too make that face in my soul when I want to eat some cake, but it's also on fire.
That sure is a meme.
Man, that is a meme. Some of these are just fucking dumb. Like, it's not premarital sex if you never get married.
Oh man, I'm a terrible person.
It's just a sneaky looking raccoon. Boy.
This is a picture of a duckling, but the meme text says, "If you are running a business, nobody will take you serious if you use a Gmail or Yahoo email address." That's not a meme. That's just advice. And it's not even particularly good advice. Alright kids, it's time to round the show out like we always do with a round of shameless plugs. We're going to start with Tyler Reed. Tyler, what do you have to plug?
Hey everybody. You can find my work at tylerdreed.com, and then you can also find me on the socials as TDR Design on Instagram and Twitter.
Sean Evans.
You can find me on Twitter and Snapchat at sevans8910.
And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat as TC Olmstead. That's OLMSTEAD. Be sure to like and follow the show on Facebook and Twitter as well. And pick up your holiday sweater before it's too late. Thanks, everybody, and we will see you next week with our final episode of the year, the 2016 year-end extravaganza.
It's also episode 80. Woohoo! End of the season. End of the year.
God, that was really just the best one. I'm just going to say it again. Fuck it. Stop making me laugh. You'll make me poo my pants.
It's not even a meme. It's just a dumb thing. It's just a dumb thing to say.
It's not even what comedy is.
Oh my God.
Puma pants.